Hello, welcome to...
Hi, I'm Vanna White.
You're not Vanna White.
No? Oh, shit. Too bad. Right.
Welcome to another episode of Drunk Doctor Who. This is episode number 137, The Twin Dilemma.
Wherein we talk about the 137th
story. Yep. The
Attack of the Cybermen.
No, The Twin Dilemma.
Oh.
Attack of the Cybermen is next week. Alright. Okay, so anyway, this is Colin Baker, the Six Doctors. You notice it. I put his deal up there.
The Colin Baker, not
Tom Baker. Colin Baker.
Not the Tom Baker. The worst Baker.
It's Colin Baker's first serial. First full serial. He shows up at the very end of the Case of Endronazi. Anyway, so... Yeah. New Dr. Colin Baker. Today is the 21st of November, 2023. To everyone out there, happy Thanksgiving, which is this Thursday. And happy 60th anniversary of Doctor Who, which is also this Thursday.
And a happy anniversary.
Yeah, there you go.
Doctor Who.
60th anniversary this Saturday.
Time for the holidays.
Yep, this Saturday, the first of the 3 60th anniversary specials will air.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because it's this Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
They'll air on subsequent Saturdays. The last Saturday of this month, and then the other two will be the first 2 Saturdays of December. Then a Saturday is skipped, and then the Christmas special, the Shutagawa, will be aired on the final Saturday, I believe. So 60 years, wow, and we are slowly but surely getting there. Okay, the first episode of the 60th anniversary stuff is called The Star Beast. Second one is The Wild Blue Yonder, or just Wild Blue Yonder. And the third one is The Giggle.
The Giggle?
The Giggle. Odd name for an anniversary special, but it's called The Giggle.
Yeah.
And you and I will see those in another 5 or 6 years. Probably. Okay. Anyway, this serial of 4 episodes aired from March 22nd, 1984 to March 30th, 1984. The companions were Perry. No, just Perry. Romulus and Remus are not companions.
What about Hugo H. Lang?
No, not a companion. Just Perry. Alright. Okay. And the antagonists, there's several actually. Although to be fair, there's one main antagonist. What's his name? Murgas or whatever?
Mothman. Mestor.
Mestor. Yeah, Mestor.
Mr.
Yep.
Maester.
He's the main bad guy. The others are mostly bad guys because he controls them. Although there are a few lickspittles who follow him and do what he says because they want to. But most of them are controlled. But anyway, so Ismail, yeah. Alright, so yep, apparently the doctor regenerated. Not a moment too soon. Change, my dear, not a moment too soon.
Well, let's talk about that. Alright, so we're in the middle of Davison. We're having a good time. He's a good chap.
We're not in the middle of Davison.
Season finale's coming up, and they cut him off. They kill him off due to a lack of bad milk, humiliating death. And then
he chose to give up his life to save Perry.
Right as he
regenerates,
shy of his season finale, Colin Baker, the new doctor, is dissing him all over the place. Oh, I've regenerated, not a minute too soon. This last face is, too...
much better. A noble brow.
Yeah, noble brow. He's all vain, but he's dissing the previous doctor. What's up with all the disrespect to Davison?
They tried to make this doctor darker. And they tried it twice. Once with Colin Baker and once with Chibnall. It didn't work either time. Colin Baker does eventually soften up.
Nope.
No, Colin
Oh,
Baker.
he's not on
top left.
the War Doctor?
No. Chibnall, the 12th Doctor. He's not on there. This goes up to the 11th Doctor. I need to get stickers
All the best one.
for him and Whitaker.
Well,
and
you
shoot
need
that
to
that way, I guess.
put him twice.
Yes. I would need an extra sticker for him too, with an older face. All right. So, this doctor's.
Why'd they just write Davison off like that? What happened?
I don't know. It's time to go, I guess.
That's just the end of his contract. It wasn't even to finish out the season.
Your average doctor does 3 years, and the first 2 doctors kept that. A smidge extra for Hartnell, and a smidge less for Troughton, because that was also a mid-season regeneration. And then Pertley amazingly did 5 seasons, and then Tom Baker did 7. But since then, it's pretty close to been 3 each time, right? This doctor does 3. Oh no, 2. Well, Davison did 3. Colin Baker does 2 because they tried to cancel the show in the middle, and they unceremoniously fired him.
Popular, yeah.
In fact, the 7th Doctor. Okay, they don't even. They just unceremoniously fired Colin Baker, right? Yeah. So he decides not to come back for his regeneration scene.
So they get up.
So they get the 7th Doctor and they put a wig on him to make him kind of look like Colin Baker.
No.
Yeah, they regenerate from the Colin Baker-ish look-alike into him with the wig. Yeah.
Colin Baker didn't even finish his regeneration.
Well, he didn't come back to do it because
the fan outcry.
No. Because the show was trying to be killed by the BBC. Period. It started becoming an embarrassment to a lot of people, and there were several people at the BBC that just wanted to kill the thing.
Because the low-budget, bad Mothman costumes.
Well, the problem was they were looking at stuff like Star Wars and Star Trek, and Doctor Who did not live up to that level of science fiction, despite the fact that it wasn't intended to be that originally. It was intended to be a children's educational show. So they tried to kill it off. Now, at the end of the season, they don't renew it. But the fan outcry was so big, they ended up renewing it again. And I'll show you the Doctor in Distress, which is between Colin Baker's 2 seasons, which was a really horrible 1980s song to attempt to help the Doctor and keep the Doctor.
Oh, like a fundraiser.
We Are the World kind of stuff. Yeah. Except it was so bad that it never raised any money. The money was supposed to go to charity, but it never raised any money. It didn't cover costs.
Worse than the... Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was bad.
Worse than the Star Wars Christmas special?
No, nothing's worse than the Star Wars Christmas special, except maybe Turkish Star Wars. Anyway, I'm Hatter. This is Holden. I am drinking Captain Morgan rum, and you are drinking Twisted Teas.
Twisted Tea, half and half. Half tea, half lemonade. So, kind of like a Twisted Arnold Palmer.
Oh, there you go.
Earlier I was drinking hard water. What was it? Buzz water is what it's called.
It's only 5 proof.
Which I thought was like a soda water, carbonated, like a seltzer, a hard seltzer. No, it's not carbonated. It's just...
Just water.
Water with alcoholic water.
10 proof. I think it was 5% alcohol, 10 proof. So anyway, the 7th Doctor does 3 seasons. The 8th Doctor does 1 TV movie. The 9th Doctor does 1 season because he leaves because he doesn't like the way the production's going. The 10th Doctor does back to 3 seasons and a few specials. The 11th Doctor does the 3 seasons. Well, 2.5, 3, yeah. Basically 3. Then the 12th Doctor, Capaldi, does 3 seasons, and Whitaker does 3 seasons. So, with the exception, there are a few exceptions, but the vast majority of Doctors average into 3 seasons. Right. He just got 2 because he...
new stuff.
Yes, all including new stuff, yeah.
All inclusive.
This Doctor just kind of wasn't popular because of the choices they made to make him darker, and they were trying to kill the show,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, he was unceremoniously fired because they start him off darker and he's not popular, and then they bring him back for the second season, and the whole season's a mess.
It's almost as if they knew he was going to be unpopular. They knew that they sort of lost popularity when they went with more adult themes, more of a family show.
Yeah, once it went over the watershed, and it wasn't just aimed at, theoretically at kids, and it became a family show, and they went really violent.
That's why they couldn't compete with, other genres in that same age range, like Star Wars, Star Trek.
Well, I think it's just the higher production values.
Yeah.
The BBC just looks shoddy by comparison. And they never update some of the sets. Mm-hmm. Notice how we're still in the same TARDIS set, Yeah. So later on...
No nice mahogany.
Yeah. During the Seventh Doctor, they have him sitting in the dark in the TARDIS because they were too ashamed to have the lights on to show the set because it was so dilapidated. There was so much money taken away from the show trying to kill it.
That's rough.
It is. But the ironic part is that right at the end, the Sylvester McCoy, the Seventh Doctor's final season, was getting really good again. Yeah, he was getting really good.
Yeah.
And it just like with the Simpsons. The Simpsons had a drop in quality after the first, say, 8 or 9 seasons. Mm-hmm. The teens weren't that great, but around the time of the 20th season, there was a big uptick in quality.
Yeah,
it worked that way, and it was the same thing for Doctor Who. It got good right as they were canceling it.
Yeah, that's when they changed their whole animation style, right?
They went to HD. Yeah, it was right during that season.
But also like the art style, like where they went from hand drawn to more of a modern computer generated.
Right, the high definition. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so
Episode 1.
Essentially, there are these freaky kid-like twins. A couple of boys look to be about 14.
Yeah, the twin dilemma is literally twins.
Yeah, and I think the twin dilemma is not only about the twins.
Twin planets, but it's very literal, right?
It's very literal, but I think it's also metaphorical in the fact that there are several dilemmas in this that one has to consider.
Yeah, 2 sets of twins.
No, not 2 sets of twins.
Twin planets and twin people.
Well, no, not even really.
Twin dilemma of twins. It's like twins squared.
It's not even
the
really.
Quad dilemma.
They're not really twin planets. Anyway. So it turns out that you have these 2 super genius mathematical twins, a couple boys about 14, named Remus and Romulus.
Justin Bieber haircuts.
Yeah, well, 1984. Anyway, if you do not know Remus and Romulus, they were the founders of Rome. They were the twin brothers who founded Rome. It was Remus was what Rome was named after.
And they also loved playing Native American chess with the teepees and wigwams. They're playing future chess with the 2-foot chess pieces. That's how you know it's the future. And they're just whizzes at math. They're playing tic-tac-toe math on their computers, Tetris style. And then this dude walks in, right?
Well, hold on. The chessboard, it's not chess. It's made to look futuristic with the little wigwammy things, but they're just cardboard cutouts. And the board they're playing on is a backgammon board, very specifically.
Yeah, with the spikes.
Right, on the small TVs you probably couldn't tell, but on the modern big TVs it's so easy to tell. And so they just made up this game, and they're moving stuff around. Nobody captures anything, but
you can see the behind the scenes reduced budget because they're like, make us some futuristic chess pieces, and he makes these big cardboard foot tall things. That's not gonna fit on a chessboard. And he's like, I have a backgammon board. They're like, might as well.
Sure, why not? It'll look okay. I mean, it doesn't look anywhere near as good as a Star Wars chess scene.
No, the animated special effects.
Or even the Harry Potter chess board scene. Yeah. So, we never meet these kids' mother. She took off.
She is mentioned.
She's mentioned. The father comes in. The father's a professor. And he's like, I don't want you doing your sums. Because they're like, we're going to mess with equations. And he's like, it's dangerous. You're too smart. This could change the universe. And they're like, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. So the father leaves. They're messing around with their equations.
Sylvester?
In the meantime...
Not Stallone. So...
In the meantime, back in the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Back at the ranch. Back in the TARDIS, the doctor's regenerated, but he's acting all weird. And he goes to the wardrobe room to find himself a new outfit. And it's bad.
Horrible.
Yeah. I mean, the picture here does not do it justice, because it's this giant, crazy red thing with all bits and pieces of all different types. So you've got a stripe set here, and you've got maybe like an Argyle set here, and all these things.
Yeah, this picture does not do it justice. There's a reason they put him back there behind, covered up by the other
Exactly.
That looks like a felt yellow lapel. It's
decent, yeah.
Actually, in the show, it looks neon yellow rubberized.
And
it's just horrible.
And the overcoat is this giant, weird patchwork red thing, which, to be fair, was originally supposed to be blue, and it might have worked better blue, but it interfered with the blue screen. It really interfered with the blue screen, so they changed it to red.
We have this production Colin Baker Scarfest moment going on here.
Actually, that's apt. That's
you get this Mosh Posh costume because behind the scenes messed with the blue screen. I wish they went with the blue anyway.
Well, it wouldn't have worked on all the blue screen stuff. Because blue screen is what they did before green screen. Yeah. The computers worked with the blue screen.
What's with the BBC and fabrics? They can't figure it out.
Alright, so anyway, so he has a weird episode in the wardrobe room where he's manic, and he's like, the endless dull boredom of the universe.
Closing in.
He's acting like Gollum in Lord of the Rings. So then they go back in the main room, and Perry's kind of worried about him, as she should be. And then he goes off on a poetry tangent. Perry, do you know what a Perry is? I bet you don't. And she's like, no. He's like, and he's like, what is Perry? She's like, well, it's a shortened version of Perry Gilliam, my name. Perpigillium. And he's like, Perry was a spirit in ancient Persian mythology, but it was evil before it was good. That's what you are. You're evil. And he goes after her, and she tries to get away, and he grabs her by the neck and chokes her. He has her on the ground, on the floor of the TARDIS, choking her until she pulls out a mirror, and that seems to, put it in his face, and it seems to break this manic moment.
Even before his sociopathic episode there, he was still being just awful and nasty, just overall, even in his somewhat dips of, reasonability. For example, Perry tried to cheer up the doctor, so she dresses in an awful ugly outfit too. Or what she considers, it's much.
I like that outfit.
Lovelier
I really
than the doctor,
do.
because it's like a solid color top piece and then like a checkered skirt.
Mm-hmm.
But she comes out and the doctor goes, yuck.
Well, she said yuck to his, so he said yuck to hers.
And then he tries to kill her.
Yeah, then he tries to kill her. I like her outfit. She has great legs, and she's really pretty, but it does conceal her bosom a good bit, which is good, because the previous outfits were way too revealing.
And we have this weird thing where our new companion, Scott Lang...
He's not a companion.
Hugo H. Lang... also put on a clown outfit. So
we'll get there.
We have the doctor and our two companions in these awful outfits.
Perry.
And it's almost like they're dressing up the companions in awful outfits so that it makes the doctor's wardrobe seem not as awful. Which it doesn't work because it's still just an eyesore.
And he sticks with that. Okay, so essentially, she blinds the doctor falls down, and the doctor comes to his senses, and he's like, "What's wrong?" She's like, "You don't know?" He's like, "No." She's like, "Well, you did this. You tried to kill me, and you were having this episode." He's like, No, I couldn't do that. He's incredibly condescending, incredibly patronizing, and incredibly egomaniacal. And he's like, "No, I couldn't have done that." She says, "Well, you did." And he finally realizes he did do that because she shrinks at him, even touching her after he tried to choke her out. And
he goes, "High five," and she goes, "Ah."
Yeah, and so he's like, "Oh, I must have done that." And so he suddenly decides they are going to go to Titan 3, this asteroid in the middle of nowhere with nothing on it, where he can live a monastical life, being a hermit, figuring out what he's done wrong and repenting for it, and she will be his disciple.
Suffering right along with it.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
"Why should I be made to suffer?" He goes, "Oh, because you have to see to my needs and my well-being and make sure I'm not disturbed as I'm on my pilgrimage in this remote cavern we're going to live in."
Yeah, it's really bad. Anyway,
another manic episode.
Yeah. So he goes to Titan 3, and they look out on the landscape, and
she goes, "What about the radiation?" He goes, "Oh, nonsense. We have to go check out this weird bump." Or she calls it a bump. He calls it a human-made structure that has no business out here on an asteroid.
As it was, yeah. As it was. And then they feel a crash.
Oh, yeah.
So in the
that happens after the crash.
Right. So in the meantime, the father of the twins reports to the... Sylvester.
"My kids are missing."
Yeah, my kids are missing. And these kids are very important. And all of a sudden they're like, okay.
Did we talk about Professor Edgeworth?
Edgeworth.
Yeah.
Turns out to be not Professor Edgeworth.
He abducts him using Zanium. What's Zanium?
Alright,
so... why was it left at the scene of the crime?
Apparently it's part of the transport material.
Yeah.
Alright, so apparently these kids were part of some sort of Stranger Things experiment, right? Stranger Things-esque experiment. And they, these super geniuses, and they can do all these things. So, this guy, Professor Wordsworth, what is it? Edgeworth shows up. Old man, looks to be in his late 60s, maybe, possibly early 70s. Probably fought in WW2. And he's like, "Oh, I know your father, the professor." And they're like, "This is very late for a social call." And he's like, "Well, I'll come." They're like, "How'd you get in?" He says, "Well, I'll come back when your father's here." They're very distrustful of him because apparently they don't run into people they don't know.
And no one's allowed on the grounds when the parents are away.
Right.
When are your parents going to be at?
We don't know.
"I'll give your father a call."
Yeah.
Like, so we'd rather not. He goes, "I have candy in my van."
No, he doesn't. He shakes their hands and he puts a little Tootsie Roll thing on their
lifesaver circle.
Yeah, lifesaver circle on their wrist.
Does something really unique, and I don't think we've ever seen in Doctor Who before.
Races and memories, yeah.
And selective amnesia as well.
So they end up going with him. He transmats them away, and we've got a good establishment for transmats in the show. Mm-hmm. And then he takes them to go do the sums for him. Apparently, they go to a ship. Wait. X-Ray Victor 771 or something like that? 773?
Oh, that's a freighter ship.
Yeah. He takes him to that.
Titan 3.
Yeah, well, they eventually go to Titan 3. So,
95.
in the meantime, there's a lieutenant who gets the call from the father, and he's like, hey, these kids have disappeared.
Lieutenant? Lieutenant.
I don't know why they call that. It's so weird.
It's not a right tenant.
It's a lieutenant, a lieutenant, whatever.
Where does the general keep his armies? In his sleeveys.
Oh my gosh. So, this lieutenant goes to the commander, who's this older, kind of pixie haircut lady, and she's like, okay, stop everything. It's been only 2 hours. Whatever ship they're on has to be around here somewhere. We've got to go look for them.
Elena.
Yeah, and I want you to lead the squadron. So he goes off and...
Scott Lane.
Yep.
Hugo H. Lane. Are you companion?
No, he's not a companion. So he goes out and he finds the freighter. The freighter isn't listening, but the twins have woken up and they've set up a distress signal in the works of the freighter. And
yeah, and like the escape pod, some sort of distress beacon. So the heroic Hugo H. Lang, leading the squadron of fighters, immediately gets shot down over comms. He crash lands, and then we flash back to Maester reaming some random Mothman and Professor Edgeworth, because he apparently also lost 5 fighters in this conflict. That was the crash ship that the Doctor and Perry
crashed. They go out and they find Lang alive in some of the debris.
Unconscious.
Unconscious. They take him back to the ship. Take him back to the TARDIS. And the Doctor's like, I don't know about this guy.
Oh, this is episode 2, by the way.
No, isn't the other episode 1 where he pulls the gun on the Doctor in the TARDIS?
No, it's when he's choking out Perry.
No.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, and I'll kill you.
Yeah, that's in the mid. It's about 2/3 of the way.
This
where
is
he's choking Barry 2/3 of the way through episode 1.
So
it could have been a cliffhanger, but it wasn't.
They drag the unconscious Lang into the TARDIS.
Right.
She goes, well, surely he's alive. You can help him, and he goes, oh, easily, but I won't.
Well, no, not yet. She's like, you should help him. And he's like, oh, I don't know. And then he wakes up. Lang wakes up, has a laser pistol, points at the Doctor, and he's like, because Lang's on the floor, points at the Doctor and says, you did this to my squadron. I'm going to kill you. End of episode. Yep. All right. Episode 2, as soon as he says that, the Doctor looks at him like, I didn't think weapons could work in the TARDIS. It depends on the plot. The Doctor looks at him and is like, oh no, and then the guy falls immediately unconscious. Then the guy goes immediately unconscious, yeah.
The Zygon. No, what are the potato head people?
Sontarans.
Sontarans. What the Sontarans?
Mm-hmm.
Their lasers wouldn't work on the TARDIS because the TARDIS has the...
There's a couple things that happens in this serial that are not normal. One is, the Doctor's actually afraid of a weapon going off in the TARDIS, despite the fact that weapons shouldn't work there, and they have not in the past. The second one is,
our villain
Master opens the TARDIS. Nobody can get into the TARDIS, but he just opens it up right away.
He embolisms it open.
Yeah. Alright, so we're getting like North Korean vibes, because this guy was brought in front of May's store. Oh, he stole vegetables. My family's starving. And Maester's like, well, we'll have to starve without you. And creates an embolism in the guy, and the guy dies, which is our first actual on-screen death.
Yeah.
How many do we have total?
5 on screen. And
several off-screen.
Yeah, the starving peasant goes, oh, everyone's starving. Who cares? Your blight's not important. And he says, you deserve the most painful way to be put to death. Embolism, which we all know comes from the root word enema? An enemobolism?
No.
He blows up his brain.
Not scanner style. He just creates a small oxygen bubble in his blood system. When it gets to his brain, he dies.
Like an aneurysm?
An embolism.
What's the difference?
I don't know.
Me either.
Okay.
One involves an enema.
No,
But the doctor is safe because we all know he can breathe through his anus.
No, he can't.
I think he can.
We're not rehashing that.
So the guy dies. We flash back to the doctor and Perry at this point, right?
Alright. So the guy tried to kill the doctor, Lang. And
he falls unconscious again.
Right, falls unconscious, and the doctor's like, and Perry's like, you have to save him. He's like, why should I? He just tried to kill me, you know. He's very haughty about everything. And Perry's like, well, you should. He imagine what he's been through. He lost his squadron. And she's like, well, if we take away his gun and his power pack, he shouldn't be able to attack you. So they take his gun, she takes out the power pack, and she goes and hides it.
Yeah. Will you save him now? And I guess.
She convinces him a couple of times of a couple different things.
Yeah, she's appealing to his morality, right?
But he doesn't have a whole lot of it.
Imagine, exactly, yeah, it's a hard battle.
So she convinces him to save this guy, and he does. He gets the medical kit, and he saves him.
There's something deep down that's still the doctor.
And that comes out later on. This doctor does soften up a bit through his first actual season.
So what's going on with the doctor? Because we always know that regenerations are pretty rough because of all his molecules rearranging, and he's kind of weird when he first regenerates. Yeah. But this one, he actually likes his appearance, and then he's absolutely insane. So it's not so much like the doctors in the past. And he also says this one quote about how he's regenerating, and each time
is less effective
with diminishing effects. Yeah,
the diminishing returns. Yeah.
What's all that about?
Yeah, it's never brought up again.
Really?
Yes.
So it's canonized, but we never.
There's a lot of canon in Doctor Who that's just ignored.
So wouldn't that mean like by the 13th regeneration, which is more than they're actually supposed to be allotted per a Time Lord's lifespan?
Yep.
The Doctor would be very diminished at this point in terms of mental capabilities?
Yeah, not the case. This is I think this is a one-off statement by a very egotistical new Doctor who it doesn't really ring true in the long run.
Yeah, he's just saying a whole bunch of nonsense, I think. So
he's pretty much a jerk.
I think you have to take whatever Colin Baker's doctor says in this cereal with a grain of sand, because he's kind of...
Grain of salt.
Grain of salt. Because he's bonkers. A grain of sand smaller. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Is that
Don't know.
A grain of salt? What does that mean?
Take it with a grain of salt?
Yeah. Where does that phrase come from?
It means don't accept it as truth.
Right, but why do we say take it with a grain of salt?
Because way back in the day...
Because that's not much salt. You probably couldn't even taste that much salt.
Way back in the day, meat wasn't kept very long because it would spoil. So take it with a grain of salt meant to cure the meat, to preserve it. So if you were suspicious of something, you would add salt.
Wouldn't it be too late if you're suspicious of the meat? Wouldn't it have already gone bad? Okay. You know what? People a long time ago were weird.
Well, yeah. They still are.
You know how some things are just lost to time? I feel like we're not great at history. As much history as we keep.
I don't agree with you there. We don't teach history or the classics the way we used to.
We seem to repeat it.
Okay, so we're including the 5 Doctors here for season 21, right?
The 5 Doctors. Yeah, season 21.
Yeah, because we didn't do
Not
that in
including
the last one.
Colin Baker.
What won the last season poll?
That's probably going to be in the other notepad. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I don't think we covered the 5 Doctors. I think we just did the season straight. But the 5 Doctors is a great addition because there's an extra episode.
Season 20?
Yes.
Modern Undead?
Yes, so yeah.
Did we ever do Best of Baker?
Yes.
Oh, Earthshock, we're in season 19.
Yeah.
Legopolis for season 18.
I think Best of Baker may have been
Daleks.
Genesis of the Daleks, yeah. It had to be. That or City of Death, but I think it was Genesis of the Daleks.
City of the Death was season favorite for season 17.
Mm-hmm.
The Pirate Planet, season 16.
God, that's so much fun.
Season 15, Horror of Fang Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Season 14, The Talons of Wang Chang. Season 13, Pyramids of Mars. And season 12, Genesis of the Daleks.
Yep, I think that won the whole thing.
Yeah, that was the favorite of the Doctor.
Okay, so
Hunger the Four-Year-Shireman. 38 deaths in the Monster of Peladon. That was our old record. For 40 some odd.
70 something. Oof. Alright, where's the eraser?
Here, eraser.
Okay. Alright, so continue on episode 2, please.
So, episode 2, I didn't have a whole lot of notes. It was straightforward. Most of what I wrote down was the Doctor's cold response to the possibility of saving Lang, which he eventually does. But they take the power pack out of his gun and they stash it. She hides it in the wardrobe. And they leave the TARDIS out into the radiated Titan 3, where they're going to investigate the bump, which looks, shouldn't have been out in an abandoned asteroid because it was human-made. They're wandering out. They stumble into the air vent, right? Mm-hmm. And while they're going through the air vent, the Doctor suddenly has this snap it back into reality.
She's all, shouldn't we go back? Shouldn't we go back? He's like, no, let's go on, let's go on. And then, right in the middle of the air vent, suddenly he goes, wait a minute, maybe you're right. Maybe maybe I should be scared. And he wants to leave, and she's like, wait, what about the children? Because the one thing that Lang said was the children.
Right, yeah. The children, what about the children? Shouldn't we at least have a look? And he goes, you can't, I'm leaving. And as she goes to take a
complete
look,
180 on both their parts, yeah.
She runs right into an owl Mothman holding her at gunpoint. She goes, doctor, doctor. And he goes, what is it now? And he goes, oh, don't shoot me, mercy. And
my God.
Uses Perry as a human shield.
Oh, it's so bad.
Right after he's talking about how chivalrous and honorable he was.
Right after he tried to kill her, choke her out, and then he uses her as human shield, and he's on his knees begging with her in front of him holding it.
What is going on?
Like I said, they tried to do something different with this Doctor, and it just didn't work.
But why is this regeneration transition so much more rough than the previous ones? Is there some sort of plot explanation to that? He's talking about this great evil and the threat to the world, which is kind of localized just to the serial, the plot, I'm assuming.
Well, it starts out being localized as serial, but then eventually we find out it's the whole universe. We do, because the seeds are going to go out on the wave of the sun. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Is the threat to the universe, the serial, but that kind of gets summed up in the serial. But what's going on with the Doctor's regeneration?
It's never fully explained. The same way. Okay, remember when Tom Baker was regenerating into the Fifth Doctor?
Yes.
And the Watcher comes, and it's the Fifth Doctor the whole time, and he says, "This time it feels different."
That one was weird. It's kind of like the monk and his
Right.
aspect
At the end of the third Doctor,
regeneration.
right? But
And then he regenerates.
the thing is, they're trying to make each Doctor distinct and different, and they're trying to make each regeneration distinct and different. But it all comes to naught. I mean, they just don't explain it, you know?
So, is he just talking complete nonsense when he is having that one episode where he's talking about how his regeneration resulted in de-regeneration or degeneration?
Yeah, he says that at one
he-
point.
He
and
turned into a threat to the universe. What is there something
he's
there?
bonkers off his rocker.
So that's
there.
just nonsense. It doesn't
yes.
have anything to do with.
Yeah, he's just messed up 6 ways to Sunday. I mean,
Yeah.
there's that. All right.
Totally Max. So
anyway.
episode 2, held at gunpoint in the air ducts. They get taken captive. The two of them.
Okay,
They
wait.
run into Professor. What's up?
We didn't explain the
Edgeworth?
scenario where they're out in Titus 3 and the bomb's exploding. The self-destruct mechanism that Noam set.
Yeah, that's coming up. So they're in the air duct. They get held at gunpoint by the Mothman. They are taken into the room, and they run into Professor Edgeworth, which the Doctor recognizes as a Time Lord.
Yep.
Not by the name of Edgeworth, but actually
Aziel or something?
as Asmael, who
Asmael.
turns out to be a villain. But the Doctor thinks, oh, he's an old college friend. I know this guy. He goes, hey, remember back in our crazy fraternity days?
Yeah, Asmael was his professor. But
You're a professor, you got drunk, I had to throw you into the...
he was both a good and a bad guy. Anyway, I'm going to use the restroom when you explain it.
He does have this very end of the serial redemption arc, but...
He's
for
doing bad things for
most
right
parts,
reasons.
he's a villain, or he's more of a pawn for the Mothman, aka Maester, who's has this immense mental influence on people, including his brood of moth people, or owl people as they look like, but he looks like a moth, but they're referred to as a slug, or at least slug eggs. I don't know what they are. There's some sort of weird slug-like moth, owl, alien species. So we basically find out Maester is controlling Asmael, kind of by coercion, but also through mental influence. Kind of like mind control, or, the Doctor Who plot point we always run into. So Asmael recognizes the Doctor as well. They're telling each other stories. It's like, I remember I had to throw you into the fountain to sober you up. And Asmael goes, oh, yes, I am Asmael, even though I told him I was Professor Edgeworth. And yes, I do remember you, Doctor, but, wrong place, wrong time, unfortunately. It wasn't meant to be. I have to leave you now. The Doctor's like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I'm going to lock you here, and it's for the greater good, but I have to take the twins, and we have to go, help the universe. And the Doctor goes, I don't understand why you locked us in here, and the Mothmen hold him at gunpoint, and they teleport off. And they encrypt the teleportation pad to where they can't leave, Perry and the Doctor, so they're kind of locked in there, stuck there. We saw the Mothmen actually set this pod to self-destruct before they left. Asmael didn't know that, or at least he claims he didn't know that they set it to self-destruct. So the Doctor's looking at the encryption on the teleportation pad. He goes, oh, there's 100 million combinations, which is an old school phrase because they didn't really use the word billions and trillions back in the early 20th century. I don't know why. Well, it was kind of a theoretical number back then until we invented hyperinflation through currencies. So anyway, he's trying to decode this decryption thing with 100 million different combinations, and Perry's looking around the pod that they're locked into, and she hears the beeping, and she looks at the self-destruction panel, which kind of looks like an easy bake oven, but she recognizes it as, it's beeping, red, flashing lights. It looks not good, so she goes to the doctor, says, hey, you gotta come take a look at this. I don't like the looks of it. He goes, I'm busy, you can't interrupt the sequence. And she's like, it looks really bad. And he goes, okay, fine, give me a moment. And then he walks over there and he goes, yeah, oh, okay, yeah, that's self-destruct. We don't have, a few days to figure out this encryption. We have probably a few minutes. And she goes, so we're gonna die? And he goes, no, we just have to find another way out, and very quickly. And he basically goes to, circumvent the whole encryption method and, basically reverse the polarity and some odd something. And he goes, okay, I've figured it out. We're going to hotwire it and use the jump pad to get you out of here. And then what we're going to do is transport you 10 seconds back into time, 10 seconds back in time, but also into the TARDIS in, space. So we're going to teleport you in time and space. So apparently this transport pad also has time traveling capabilities. I don't really know how that works. The doctor doesn't really sound like he knows how it works either. But he goes, very confidently goes, step on the pad, let's do it. We only have, a few minutes. And he does it, and it works, and Perry's teleported away. And he goes, well, I can't believe that actually worked, which is pretty dark, which means he didn't know it was going to work, which kind of suggests he was just using Perry to test it out because he didn't want to try it himself. In fact, we also see that because he didn't really plan ahead into how he was going to teleport as well, because he said he had to have the timing just right, and he goes, oh yeah, the wristwatch, Perry's wristwatch, but he goes, oh drat, it stopped ticking, so I guess I'm just going to have to eyeball it. He sets it up, he gets on the pad, he presses the button, and he teleports away. And we see in the TARDIS, Perry's arrived in the TARDIS in space, and then she looks around, and there is Lieutenant Lang, and he points the gun at her. He found the battery pack in the wardrobe, so he's armed and dangerous. He points the gun at Perry, and he's demanding answers, and she totally ignores him. She goes, Doctor, where's the doctor? And she's running around, and she looks through the TARDIS visualizer, and she sees the dome explode, and she goes, Doctor, no! Which is strange. She has all this compassion and feelings for the doctor. I kind of at first thought that she was just going, oh no, the doctor, now I'm stuck here. He's the only one that could pilot the TARDIS. But it turns out it was genuine compassion for the doctor, even though he tried to kill her. It's explained that she as a human is very compassionate, and she saw that that was just a manic episode, that wasn't the actual doctor. So the dome explodes, she goes, Doctor, no, end of episode 2. So episode 3...
do you have any questions for episodes 1 and 2?
I did. But now I can't remember.
Well, you don't have them now?
Oh, he chose a cat pendant when he was picking out his wardrobe. Why did he go with the cat pendant over the celery stick? Because we explained why the celery stick was because
eventually, right at the end,
the canary in the cage,
yeah.
Right? But what's the point of the cat pendant? Why did he choose that?
Not explained.
Never explained.
Not to the best of my knowledge. But then again, like I said, I've only seen the second season once, to the best of my knowledge.
Is that the couch? Is this a fold-out? I thought I heard a spring.
One of these is. No, remember that comes up. Don't do it. Don't do it. You've done it before. Don't do it. Alright.
I could have been resting my feet comfortably.
No, because there's no space up here thanks to this stone table.
Alright, we're gonna have to push the table back so I can fold my feet out. I'd be so comfortable.
Would also conflict with this one.
Can yours fold out?
Yes, there's a
No
little
way! No way!
Don't do it. Don't do it. But yes.
All right. So, dome explodes. The doctor's nowhere to be found. Immediately into episode 3, the doctor shows up. He's fine.
But yeah,
Just
there's a little
mistimed.
slight mess with it. Yeah. But he shows up. He's okay. And Perry's like, oh. And in the meantime, Perry was walking around. The guy Lang had the gun at her. She's like,
Yeah, totally disregards him. We were
Yeah.
talking about that, and we were also talking about how the doctor teleported Perry, and then he goes, I can't believe that worked. Which means he was using her as a guinea pig. Which also is confirmed by the fact that he didn't really plan ahead to how he would time himself teleporting, so he takes Perry's watch. But it stopped ticking, so he kind of has to eyeball it anyway, which is why he shows up slightly after Perry does.
yeah,
But he's fine.
he's still being a jerk.
But now we have Lang there with the gun, demanding questions.
He's like, who are you? And so they get the information from Lang, and they give him their information. And Lang's like, well, where's he taking the children? And the doctor's like, well, Jakanda.
Jakanda.
Not Wakanda. Jakanda.
There's a city named Wakanda.
Oh, it's a country in the Marvel Universe.
But also a city in America.
Is there?
In Kentucky?
Named Jakanda.
No, Wakanda.
Name Wakanda.
Yeah.
Maybe it's named after
UA. I was doing data entry. I can't remember which state it was in. But I definitely typed in Wakanda. I'm like, is that right? So I Googled it, and yeah.
Alright.
If you're from Wakanda, you're probably not watching this.
Probably true. I think we're up to
90, 63, 72.
What are you talking about?
41 subscribers? How many?
Yeah, we're somewhere around 50.
41. 50.
Yeah, we're around 50.
That's huge. The half centennial.
And we still get 7 or 8 views an episode, but who cares?
Welcome to our 50th subscriber special. I'm so glad you're here. We've really gone all out.
5 years.
5 whole years.
We have less than 1 subscriber a month.
We're doing 10 subscribers a year, yeah. 5 years, 50 subscribers.
Okay.
We're on our way, Adder. We're going to be famous in no time.
We'll be famous in exactly no time, because it's never going to happen.
I'm already using this podcast for its intended purpose, which is kind of like a time capsule. I go back and I look at old episodes and I show my friends. I'm like, look at me 5 years ago.
It's like I wish I had video and pictures of myself when I was younger and better looking and in better shape.
Yeah, I'm like, look at me puking my guts out.
Yeah.
I
wish I had a sex tape of myself at 30, or 25. That'd be great.
With modern artificial intelligence technology,
No, it's so scary.
You never know. I like this one guy on Twitter. There's this rule of the internet that states if it exists, there's porn of it.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's hogwash. There's no porn of me, and I exist. And the guy said, oh yeah? And he photoshopped his...
Oh, man. Okay, so episode 3.
Yes.
The doctor heads off to Jakanda, ahead of the X-ray Victor 773 whatever barge. The doctor heads there.
Yeah, Perry says, Doctor, I'm so glad you're safe. I thought you had surely died. And the doctor goes, are you sure? Because if you died, I would have been delighted.
No, if I had been in your position and I had died, I'd been delighted. It's like, damn, dude. And
yeah, and Perry goes, that's the difference between you and I, is I have compassion.
Yeah.
And that's kind of her trait as a human. She can still see the good in the doctor, even though it's way deep down, buried under this.
She's good.
She also
she sees the good in him.
well, she can kind of see that he's not in his right mindset from time to time. She did like Davison.
Well, yeah,
and she still
2 serials
kind of ties that persona to Colin.
Yeah, I mean, we changed over the entire TARDIS crew. The Doctor and all 3 companions in a matter of 3 serials.
Yeah.
All right.
Rough transition.
Yeah. So they get to the planet Jaconda. The Doctor parks his TARDIS in the palace basement.
The caverns, basically.
Catacombs, yeah. And they go out looking for the children. In the meantime,
Maester?
Asmael shows up on the planet with the children. They all get taken to the laboratory where
they're doing
Maestor's going to meet them.
Yeah, handmade calculations. They go, these pins, they're killing our fingers. He goes, because of your distress beacon, you can't be trusted with the computers. You're going to have to do it by hand. You go, well, we don't want to. And he goes, I can force you if, I have to. And they go, well, why are we doing this? And then Maester shows up and he's like, because I'm going to kill you and pull your brains out of your skulls.
If you don't do it.
If you don't do it. They go, yep, okay, all right, we're picking our pins back up.
and these are 14-year-old boys, approximately, put in the most stressful conditions. And they thought they were adults and all that in a bag of chips. But one of them breaks down during this. He goes, I don't feel so adult anymore. Because they're facing real peril, real questions.
I'm the most afraid I've ever been in my life. Yeah. Me too. These twins are creepy. They keep finishing each other's sentences and talking at the same time.
Yeah, the same
thing. Here's Johnny.
The Shining.
The Shining. Very The Shining.
Come play with us.
Who's that? It's FaceTime from Maester. He's ringing in to Asmael. He goes, hey, go ahead and tell the twins what their calculations are for. Tell them it's benevolent, and maybe they'll be more cooperative. Right. He goes, that's a great idea, Maester. And he goes to the twins and says, hey, this is a great benevolent thing. These calculations are blah, blah, blah expositions. It's again explained later when the Doctor finds out, because he shows up after being teleported, right? They go through the caverns of the palace.
Okay. So it turns out there's 3 or 4 different races here. You have the Time Lords, the Doctor and Asmael. Asmael's helping the planet.
Slug.
Of Jakarta or whatever.
Jaconda. So Asmael is in love with Jaconda.
Yeah, he went native, whatever. He loves his planet. But anyway,
we kind of see a mirrored Time Lord aspect between Asmael, his professor, and the Doctor, the student. Just as the Doctor's growing increasingly fond of Earth and humans, we see that.
Yes, although this particular Doctor keeps saying he'll never understand Earthlings, but other doctors have loved Earth.
We see a much more mature version of that admiration for a different planet. Like Jaconda, he goes, my only regret is not spending more time here, or that I had to leave. He goes, I'll never leave Jaconda.
Yeah. So
he really likes Jaconda.
The same way the Doctor really likes Earth.
So somehow
that's the first race. The second race is Earthlings, which we have from the planet, the satellite, and several other places. The third one is these owl people of Jaconda, that's the race that Asmael is in love with, and he wants to help, and they're the ones who are on the planet forever. And the fourth one are these half-slug, half-human people.
Maesters,
Maester and his progeny.
Mental influence over the inhabitants of Jaconda.
Right. So this Maester guy thing can give people embolisms, can open the TARDIS, can control people, read their thoughts, read their minds, all with this psychic ability. And it's actually really daunting. So the Doctor and Perry and Lieutenant Lang,
Corporal?
they're walking around in the caverns, and they discover the different. He shows them the different deals about the legend of the slug people.
Yeah, as he explained to me. Yeah.
Then a couple of slug people come by. They hide. And Lieutenant Lang accidentally gets his boots caught up in
some slime trail, which apparently quickens like cement, but much quicker. And Lang goes, "Oh, no problem. I'll just heat it up with my gun if I set it to the lowest setting." And he's shooting this silky slug juice, heating it up, trying to pull his boots out. The Doctor goes, "I ain't got time for this. I'm going on ahead," and he just ditches Perry and Lang. Perry goes, "No, we gotta, I'm gonna stay here, help Lang out." He does eventually pull his feet out, and then they go, "Well, I guess we'll go after the Doctor. He's ran off ahead."
In the meantime, the Doctor had run up to Asmael's laboratory in the palace and starts to choke the guy.
The second person the Doctor's tried to choke out.
Is that the end of episode 3?
No, not yet. It's when the Doctor snaps back into it and goes, "No, Perry."
Oh, yeah. So, it's almost there. Almost. Yeah. So, alright, see you in a minute. Alright, so they're like, "Well, Doctor's like, "Well, why did you try? I'm sorry, I tried to choke you, but why did you try to kill me?" He's like, "I didn't try to kill you, that was this other guy." Doctor's like, "Okay." And in the meantime, everything had been explained to the twins. Everything. Down to every last nut and bolt. And the Doctor's like, "Well, wait. If you do this, and this isn't good, because you're trying to put these 2 smaller planets, which don't even have names, around Jaconda, so that you can harvest their resources, because Jaconda's been turned into a desert by these slugs. But these small planets are out here because they're further from the sun, because they're smaller. If you put them here, the sun's gravitational pull will pull them away." And Asmael's like, "You're right, how did I not see this?" And I was like, "Well, don't worry about it, we'll figure it out." And then Lang gets his feet off of the concrete stuff. He and Perry go to, they're wandering down the corridors. He gets knocked out by a lead pipe, pretty much, by one of these owl people, and she gets taken away. In the meantime, Ming or Mong or Mang or whatever his name is, Noma, that's it, anagram of moan, Noma, was explaining to Mastor, "Oh yeah, there are these 2 people, this Time Lord and this girl, and I blew up the place so they would die, and then they bring in Perry." And he goes, "No, she's dead, she has to be dead." And Maester was like, "Apparently you didn't do as good a job as you thought." And he's like, "Was she alone?" And the owl guard's like, "No, she was with a guy, but we left him half dead." He's like, "Go get him, we need him." Maester thinks it's the Doctor, but it's actually Lieutenant Lang. Lieutenant Lang eventually wakes up. He crawls into the laboratory. He goes, "Perry, they've got Perry." And he continues his habit of falling unconscious. There's like, "Perry, I've got to go help her." And there's the gentleman, that one owl guy's like, grabs the Doctor, says no. And then Asmael's like, no, you can't go. I've told you everything. If you go, you will give everything up to Maester. And the Doctor's like, "Well, I've got to help Perry." He says, "No, if necessary, Perry must die."
No.
Yeah. And the Doctor's like, "No, I have to say Perry." Looks directly at the camera. Perry!
So,
end of episode 3.
I checked with her official fact checker.
Wow.
Wakanda is a park in Wisconsin. The there's also a Wakanda character in Harry Potter. Honestly, it's like a Wikipedia page, just right there.
That's my wife, a Wikipedia page.
There's this one podcast I watched, and they say, "We'll ask Linda," and it's just the two of them. So Linda was their word for Google. They're like, "We'll ask our assistant Linda."
There you go.
And then they actually hired it.
Right. Any questions at all from episodes 1, 2, and 3?
We covered 1 and 2. Episode 3, I have a ton of notes. Death by embolism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we talked about that. Lieutenant versus Lieutenant. We talked about that. Did we talk about how Maester apparently learned English from a thesaurus? Because he's talking all sorts of vocabulary words, very long, multi-syllable.
Remember that's being translated by the TARDIS.
Oh, it's the chameleon circuit. So I guess his language.
Not exactly the chameleon circuit, but
in the modern
stuff they explain that the entire universe does not know English, but the TARDIS is translating everything for everybody.
We talked about how the Doctor tested the teleporter on Perry first.
Yeah.
The blue suit.
Yep.
Tom Baker's scarf.
The TARDIS does not translate everything.
New companion Scott
nope.
Lang.
Nope.
It's like C-3PO. It knows a lot of languages, but not all of them. The TARDIS.
No. It translates literally nearly everything, but it doesn't do the rhinos.
We talked about Jakanda. The rhinos?
We'll get there.
They're like here on Earth, the rhino's language.
No. It's
doesn't translate.
Intergalactic space police that are very literal in what they do, and their language for some reason doesn't get translated.
Are they like the bureaucracy from the bureaucratic race from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? You're being put to death and your planet's being... would you like to sign an 800-page form? Only take 12 months of paperwork filing and...
Kinda, but not exactly. But yeah,
that's what it sounded like.
Moro Kopo Popo Po.
No, Perry. End of episode 3.
Yep.
Episode 4.
Okay.
Next season, hour-long stories. Did we talk about that yet?
All right. So,
in fact, that starts next serial.
Next serial's the beginning of the season.
45-minute long. Yeah.
Season 22.
This is our season finale. Plus our half-centennial subscriber special.
Right.
Plus our 5-year anniversary.
What the? Okay,
we
passed our
5-year
anniversary a few months ago.
We're just now celebrating. With our 50...
I've been celebrating the whole time. I don't know about you. Alright. So this is the end of season 21. Mm-hmm. Then we have the end of season 20. Then we have season 21 with Colin Baker. Season 22 with Colin Baker. Then seasons...
Attack of the Cybermen.
Hold on.
Stay tuned. Next week, 21st season of Doctor Who. The Attack of the Cybermen. We're making a big change up in the format.
That's season 22. This is the end of season 21.
Oh, season 22.
So season 22, Colin Baker. Season 23, Colin Baker. 24, 25, 26, Sylvester McCoy.
Sylvester. Not
Sylvester.
Sylvester. Yeah.
Sylvester.
With the Sylvester twins, Remus and Romulus.
Oh my gosh.
The Roman
you are
emperors?
Founders of Rome.
No.
They were not emperors back then. They came later.
They said, there it is, I found it. There's Rome. And then they built a bunch of roads.
Their progeny did. Alright, anyway. So...
You want to talk about the Library of Alexandria and how it got burnt up? Yeah. And they said that made a huge setback to like humanity's advancement.
Mankind's advancement,
yeah. Because we had those Dark Ages and then the Renaissance. But really, there were advancements made in the Dark Ages. I think we're fine. Who needs books? They're old books.
Books are good. Wait, you know about the bookstore here that closed?
Scrolls. Oh,
Josie's
varsity books?
No,
sucked. They're the worst. Don't.
No, there was a place called Josie's Books or something.
Josie's
here
Books.
in town, and they closed. And when they closed, they didn't donate the books to a library or donate the books to a school.
What did they do with
just
the books?
Dumped them in a dumpster.
They dumped them?
Yeah. So
why would you do that? So businesses are doing this. They overproduce, and then they don't want to. It's cheaper. They don't even want to offshoot them to off-sailers. They don't want to donate them for tax purposes. Like, it's cheaper if we just throw them away. But there's this big problem with dumpster divers picking up like old, discarded, overproduced merchandise, and they go, well, we don't want them to resell this discarded merchandise because that'll be bad for the brand name. So you have stores like Chanel with these designer purses, and they have more that sell. They have more than what sell, so they throw the rest away, but they sludge them and they rip them open so that dumpster divers can't resell them aftermarket.
It's kind of what happened here. So people found out they were dumping the books. And there was a group that called the news stations. And the local news station said...
Yeah, publicity.
Yeah, they said, hey...
Well, they're going out of business anyway.
Why are these guys dumping the books? Why do they donate them? And the company was like, well, we tried to. And everyone said, no, you didn't. And so they destroyed like 4 tons of books. But one of the dumpsters was saved, and it got taken to a local place here on 50th in Indiana.
You just start up a public library.
Well, yeah, but it got taken to the 50th in Indiana, and this nice small company helped take the books out of the dumpster and gave them away to people rather than have them trashed.
Thank goodness they saved all that bookstores, paperback, dirty fan fiction, and erotic novels.
This ended up with several books on her must-read list.
And actual books of quality. If I know anything about old mom-and-pop bookstores, it's from that show You on Netflix, where is this guy who's a serial killer that worked at a bookstore.
No, have you seen Black's Books?
No, is that another serial killer that worked at...
No, not a serial killer, but it's a great British TV show about a bookstore.
Blackadder?
Black's Books. Blackadder's a different British
What's
TV
that
show.
Other show with him, but it's like World War One, and they're in the trenches?
Blackadder.
Oh, that's Blackadder? I thought Blackadder was like a medieval...
The first series is medieval. The second series moves up to the French era. Next one moves up again, and the fourth series is set in World War I.
That show's so much deeper than I thought.
It is actually, yeah.
The last one, World War era, that one had Hugh Laurie in it too.
They all have Hugh Laurie.
Oh really? He's in
Yes.
Blackadder?
He's in all four series.
I guess I've only seen a lot of season 1 and a lot of season 4. And I thought season 4 was a different show.
There you go. Alright. Episode 4?
Yes.
Okay.
What?
Alright.
Am I doing the recap?
So episode 4,
Placing the planet... So, the
doctor figures out putting the planets around this planet doesn't work.
Because the gravity of the sun.
Yes.
As male Time Lord, how did I not think of that? Really basic geometry.
Physics.
Physics.
Yeah, really basic physics. So Arthur's like, okay. And the doctor figures out, because the seed pod place is right next to the laboratory.
So my question was, policing the planets in orbit around the bigger planet wouldn't work. Also, he's like, well, we're going to offset that by displacing it a day in the future.
Yeah, and
that would still cause him to collide. Yeah,
well, no, it's actually okay. Later
like
on,
perpetually a day, but then that messes up.
Later on, we see in Doctor Who, in the Cascade Nebula, we see a section of everything off by like a few seconds, and so it's hard to find.
Huh.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Crab Nebula or something like that.
Man, if they had a stock job at like a warehouse, boy, they'd be the most popular employee. Like, where are we gonna put all this freight? Oh, we'll just put it
in the same place.
12 seconds to the left.
Exactly. All right. So the Doctor sends he tells the twins to delete their work. They remember it in their minds. He sends the twins, Lieutenant Lang and Perry, and they go into the catacombs of the TARDIS. The guys have gotten into the TARDIS. Lang ends up in a firefight with 3 of them, but kills them all. That was nice. Boom, boom, boom. But the twins are like, he needs us, he can't shoot at us. But Lang's like right behind them, going, okay. And then they duck and he shoots the bad guys. In the meantime, all of the owl people who like Maestor, including his concierge, or what is it?
Chamberlain.
They've all gone down to the catacombs, and so there's basically just Maestor by himself in the throne room.
Mm-hmm.
The Doctor, he picked up a couple of vials of whatever.
What are they?
Beakers of those? I don't know. It's never explained. But he picks up a couple of them, and I guess he thought that
face melting powder.
Right. The Doctor's figured out that the seeds from Maestor wants to explode the sun by bringing the planets closer, and they'll gravitate into the sun, and all of his seeds will then be spread out across the universe on the wave of the sun.
Moth cocoon pods.
The moth cocoon pods.
These thermal cocoons that need a lot of heat to help them hatch out, but also the star exploding will scatter them across the universe.
Right.
These moth people that have immense psychic abilities, and
they'll go take over various planets across the universe.
So big threat here.
Yeah.
The Doctor's like, I can't let that happen, and they're talking with Maestor, and he's like, well, what do you expect to do about it? And the Doctor lobs that vial at him. It explodes against this force field in front of the Doctor, and Maester's like, this is my throne room
vulnerable, thing. Did you?
Yeah, I believe myself.
So, he's like, I could take over your mind, Doctor. That's my plan. I was like, you can't do that. He says, do you want a demonstration?
Yeah, the Doctor's very
cocky.
Yeah, vain, and your influence would be like a stone in the pond of my mind.
In my lake.
Yeah, and Maester goes, all right, I'll prove it. Asmael, I'm gonna ensorcel you, and goes, and then Asmael's
good word.
Talking in Maester's voice. He goes, see, I can.
Yeah, and then
Asmael's fighting. He goes, he's overexerting himself with his influence. I'm containing him, but you have to destroy him so his mind can't re-enter his body's vessel.
Right. So the Doctor then takes the other vial, throws it at him.
Second one.
Throws it at him, and you see Maestor like he's falling apart, kind of melting,
goo coming out of his weird moth face. What happened to the force field that is protecting him in his throne room?
Well, I think he was controlling it with his mind, but he's using too much of his mind, controlling all the people and controlling Asmael.
So why did he leave himself so defenseless in his own throne room, which he just said he would not do?
Because he was being arrogant. All right. So
more arrogant than the Doctor.
So his mind is Asmael, but his body's dying. And Asmael's like, we've already established he's a Time Lord on his last life, no more regenerations. And Asmael's like, I'm dying. And Doctor's like, no, you shouldn't die. He says, it's okay. And he tells Maestor, I'm dying. You're dying with me. And then he goes in and
He
dies.
swoons about Jaconda.
And the place at the
greatest
fountain,
love
the night they
right.
had, doctor and healing.
And then he dies. And that's death number 5. After our number 4 death, which was Maester. As his face melts. As his face melts, his mental influence wanes over the owl people.
Yep. So the doctor runs back down into the catacombs, finds the TARDIS and Perry, the twins, and what's his name? Jane?
Chamberlain? Oh, Lang?
Lang, yeah. And so Lang's like, well, I've got nobody back at home, but I think I might want to stay here and help. I could be of use here. Now, as Asmael was dying, he gave the doctor his ring with these red signets on it, which he was leading the planet. So this ring is significance of leadership. The doctor gives it to Lang. Says, here you go, you might need this. The twins are like, can we stay? But they're too young to do that. And so Perry's like, no, get in the TARDIS.
So we have 2 new companions.
Nope.
Remus and Romulus.
Nope.
Yeah.
So the doctor and Perry head into the TARDIS with the twins. Lang stays to help these people survive. Mm-hmm. The doctor's incredibly callous about not saying goodbye to Lang. Like Lang says, I've got nobody at home. And the doctor says, I can believe that. And walks in.
And then Perry goes on about the doctor, you don't feel like yourself. And the doctor looks into the camera and goes, I am the doctor whether you like it or not.
Yeah, directly in the camera. End of episode 4.
Rough.
Big up yours to the fans back in the day.
So such a dark turn the series has taken. Very suddenly.
Yes, it was a departure from the norm, and they tried it again with the 12th Doctor. Didn't work there either, but both doctors were eventually corrected into better people.
Like Hartnell's first episode, yeah.
Yeah, like Hartnell's original pilot was too rough and gruff, and they redid the pilot to make him more amicable, and that worked out a lot better. And we watched not only that, but the documentary about that.
Yeah, we did. That was a good one.
It was. All right. Any other questions about episode 4?
Looks like I squeezed them all in there.
Giggity. All right. Okay. So we decide the best
Favorite
of season 21. We're including the 5 Doctors as our very first special between seasons, but we are not including tonight's serial. Because it was the next Doctor, we'll include that with season 22. As we have done before for the Troughton Hartnell differential. Alright. What do you think is the worst of these?
That's a good question. Let's see here. Oh, Planet of Fire was great.
I do like that one. We lost Turlo, and the Doctor killed a companion. Basically, he was being begged to.
Yeah, just executes Chameleon.
Yeah.
Put me out of my misery. The Doctor's like, you make a fair point.
You're dead, thank you.
Gosh, are we including the 5 Doctors?
Yes, we are.
That's kind of like
because we have. Okay, we're missing one serial here from the season, but it was the next Doctor. We'll include that in the next season. But the 5 Doctors was between seasons.
And last time we had the 3 Doctors, we were like, well, that's not really fair to take that into consideration of the best of the Doctors, because it was a really, centric on the other Doctors. Whereas the 5 Doctors, I thought Davison, it makes sense to include this in Davison's serials, because he really shined. He was great in that serial, which I think was probably, the outlier in this whole season. We kind of know what's gonna win here, right? What's your least favorite?
The Awakening.
Oh yeah, let's cross that off. Doesn't even come close.
Yeah, it's not great.
Now let's wipe the rest of them off.
Alright, Where's the Jeep was pretty decent.
That one was good.
Frontios, okay. I mean, I'm good with that.
I think I liked Frontios more than you did.
Okay.
It was
Resurrection
weird.
of the Daleks.
The Daleks classic. They're coming back to big bad villains. Planet of Fire was good, and the Caves of Adrenazi, good. Interesting. Different.
Okay, I would drop Frontios next, but you need input.
I probably wouldn't drop that one next, but I do agree that it's not my favorite of the season, so we can cross that one off.
Okay.
And then we can probably also cross off, Planet of Fire or Warriors of the Deep, because I feel like they're definitely getting outshined by the Five Doctors and Resurrection of the Daleks.
Okay. Alright.
For sure.
So, I like Planet of Fire, but yeah. Alright, so...
I like it too. Now, we have the season finale versus these, classic villains.
The Doctor finale.
Right. Not the season finale. Davison didn't even get a season finale.
Well, he had a couple.
The Caves of Adrenazi, it was experimental. It went really dark. It was really different. It was pretty good, but probably not as good as these other two, I'd say. Though it's a close... I'd say it's a close race between Resurrection of the Daleks and the Caves of Adrenazi, but I think the Five Doctors was just much more classic Doctor Who. It was a lot safer, and they really knocked it out of the park with all the kind of fan services, the callbacks. It was classic Doctor Who. It was a great story. These other two were extremely good, but I don't think...
This is generally considered the Fifth Doctor's best serial. Doesn't mean we should consider it his best serial, but I'm just saying that's generally considered his best serial. Period.
It was good. It was very different. It went dark. They did a great job, but it was the fact that it was so different from like the classic serial formula of the.
You had the first sexual intimidation of a companion.
That was weird. Even in this one, the owl person Maester was
I find her pleasing.
So
yeah, we've gotten into that watershed. All right.
So do we agree to not? We'll cross this one off next. Daleks. I feel like we're
oscillating.
Yeah, we're divided on these two.
Okay.
I feel like there's definitely an argument to be made for the Five Doctors not winning the season 21 finale, as it was more of a cumulative pulling of several Doctors to make the story, whereas the Caves of Adrenazi was a standalone, solid Davison serial. However, that being said, I still think, I would pick my favorite would be the Five Doctors, but what do you think, Heather?
Let's be controversial.
Geez.
The Five Doctors wins.
I agree with that. I think I'm
with that.
disagreeing with the fan base. I think this was a
Caves
great
of Adrenazi
serial.
is really good, but the Five Doctors is really good too. And if we're including that in that season, we've got to go with that.
Favorite.
Alright, so write that down. Season 21, The Five Doctors.
And don't forget to join us next week where we will vote on our favorite Davison episode. Serial story.
Our favorite Davison serial from amongst the three winners of his 3 seasons. So, yeah.
And we'll be discussing our 2-episode, 45-minute each serial, The Attack of the Cybermen.
So the next season, they dropped Doctor Who from like 20-something episodes a season to 12, 13, 14 episodes a season. But they doubled the length of time. So season 22 is 13 episodes, but they're 45, 50 minutes long, as opposed to the half hour we've had generally, traditionally, except for that little bit because of the Olympics. But they run that for that, and then when they do the season 23 and beyond, they drop down to half-hour episodes again, 25-minute episodes, with the 14 episodes per season. So they're, like I said, they're trying to kill the show off.
A lot of changes. Yeah, it's really been rocked all over the place.
Yeah, and it's going to get shorter and shorter, and it keeps getting shorter and shorter than modern stuff, but
with less and less consistency.
Yeah, and less time. But we'll have 1 hour long episodes next season for the entire season. 2 to 3, 2 to 2, I think.
And you said those 2 episodes, they're still Monday, Tuesday?
No. They're now once a week with the 45-minute, 50-minute once a week. Week.
Were they on Tuesdays or Mondays?
I don't know. I think it was Mondays. I'd have to go back on the calendar and check.
It's still a poor time slot, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, they're trying to kill the show. And
Just
they eventually do.
Podcast, is that a poor time slot? Posting it on Monday, Tuesday?
There are no time slots anymore. You watch it when you want to watch it.
All on demand. Well, we demand...
like, subscribe, don't, whatever. Who cares?
We appreciate you spending your time with us here today.
I'm Hatter.
We'll see you next time. I'm Vanna White.
No, you're Holden.
Yay!
Bye. See you next time.